What are the other causes we find defects or failure in software? Other causes are like radiation, pollution, magnetism, electronic fields, and hardware. They are all connected. If the particular software supports only specific hardware, and if we have not used during the development, we will find a defect. Pollution causes faults in firmware or influence the execution of software by changing the hardware conditions. Because of that also we find so many failures in our software. Now we will discuss the difference between static testing and dynamic testing. What is static testing? Static testing is checking the documentation or reviewing the documentation, checking the work product document, and dynamic testing is execution on the particular software. The intention of both static testing and dynamic testing is to find defects. Static testing find defects in the documents, as for example your requirements document, specification document you can call it, or the code. We have to review the test plan as well. We have to review the test cases. This is all part of static testing. When you design your test cases and when you execute those test cases on a particular product, that becomes a dynamic testing. When you execute a code on a particular product and find out something doesn't work, that is also a defect. If there is the requirement is written in a different way or it is incorrectly written, you find the defects. What is the role of testing in the development? We have to do rigorous testing on any product to verify the software is working as per your expectation. You need to do rigorous testing on the software to meet the objectives we have for the testing. As for example, we do rigorous testing on the software and the documentation. When you do rigorous testing on documentation, that is known as static testing. When we do execute test cases and do testing on the software, that is known as dynamic testing. As a result, what happens? You find defects, these defects appeals, and that help you to meet the testing objectives, like build confidence. You executed, you reviewed your requirement and found the bugs in the requirements, you fixed them, and you have correct requirement. In the same manner, you design your test cases, you executed your test cases, you found effects, they are fixed, and it is working. The software is working as per your expectation. As a result, what happened? You build confidence. You are meeting the testing objectives. That is, one of them is building confidence. It builds confidence on the product. As a result, reduces risk of operational problems. When you actually use the product, it reduces the risk when you are going to use the software. Improves the software quality. It helps you to improve the quality. How? So you tested the product, you found defects, these defects are fixed. You have done retesting and regression testing. When you do testing and release a product, it will have an improved quality, a good quality product. Next one is meets contractual requirements. As a result, if you have an agreement with the business what level of testing and what testing you need to do, it meets the contractual requirements. You also need to meet, when you to testing, when you develop a software, there are also some legal requirements to be followed when you carry on your testing. As for example, you are working on a healthcare product. Sometimes the law makes you to test certain areas, or the law comply as per the compliance point of view, the law is forcing you to test certain areas of the product. That is known as legal requirements. Legally, you need to test as a compliance point of view. You need to carry on certain levels of testing. Meets industry specific standards. As for example, you are working in the banking area. As for example, you are working for the energy industry. For this particular industries, they have the standards to achieve. If you don't achieve the standard, the quality of the product would be bad. And you can't perform the business task. And if you can't perform your task, what happens? If the software doesn't work, you lose money, you lose reputation, you end up shutting down the business. So in order to compete with other organizations in the same industry, you need to carry on testing and follow the industry standard, so you can sustain your business, you can survive in the competitive market. When we carry on testing, we have some short-term goals for testing and long-term goals for testing. So let's discuss the short-term goals of testing. What are the short-term goals of testing? The most important is the product should be a quality product. It should perform what it has to do. The short-term goal of testing is testing finds defects. Yes, you carry on testing, you find defects. These defects are fixed. When the defects are fixed, you need to do retesting and regression testing on the product. When you do retesting and regression testing on the products, you find less defects step by step. And as a result, what happens? The product will have a certain standard of quality. It will do the expected task. It will perform as per your expectation. And if it performs as per your expectation, it helps the business to prosper as well. If we talk about the long-term goal of testing, the long-term goal of testing is also improving the product quality. Overall, what happens as a testing in long term? You carry on testing and you find the defects. You analyze the defects. In the short term, you just fix the defects. Now you analyze the defects. What are the causes of these defects? What is causing these defects? Is it the developer's error? Is your testing process is incorrect? Are your test cases incorrect? So many areas you covered in this. And you try to improve those processes. So what happens is, for example, you find a defect in a certain process. You analyze it. Whenever this process, that means this process is incorrect. When this process is incorrect, you identify and correct that process. What happens when you correct that particular process? It improves the products, and as a result, it prevents the reoccurrence of the defects in that particular area again. And as a result, what happens? The future systems will have less defects. So if you are developing the similar product for another organization, another company, this particular product will have less defects. And as a result, the long-term goal of testing is to deliver a quality product.